4th of July from Brandon's World. It is indeed a fireworks show here on today's episode of the Brandon's World podcast because we have so much to get to that I'm not going to waste any time. You already know we're available on all audio and video podcasting platforms and where you can follow us on social media. As a matter of fact, today's episode is so jam-packed that for the first time in a very long time, I've had an internal debate with myself as to where to start on today's episode of the Brandon's World podcast. And after some deliberation between myself, obviously, I have decided to start by recapping the Money in the Bank premium live event that took place this past Saturday overseas at the O2 Arena in London, England. And the reason why I am starting with the Money in the Bank premium live event over big time stories that happened over the weekend, almost unprecedented news that broke between the 1st and 4th of July in the sports calendar world. That obviously being Damian Lillard wanting out of Portland, that being James Harden wanting out of Philadelphia, that being some layouts happening in the sports and media industry, and that being some NFL news we're going to get to later in the show. The reason why I am starting with arguably the least popular of all those segments today, wrestling, because wrestling is obviously such a niche fan base, is because you all know how big of a fan I am of WWE. And that Money in the Bank premium live event that took place on July 1st, 2023 from the O2 Arena in London, England, in my humble estimated opinion, is right up there with WrestleMania 38, WrestleMania 17, Money in the Bank 2011 as one of the greatest events WWE has ever put on. It featured hard-hitting action. It featured a shocking main event and a shocking return we all did not expect. And I am still 24 hours here at the time of this recording, July 2nd, 2023, out of this world, completely overblown at a loss of words of how great this premium live event truly was. Let's kick it off with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which of course featured Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, Butch, Santos Escobar, Logan Paul, LA Knight, yeah, and the eventual winner representing the Judgment Day, Damian Priest. Now, this match from the get-go was incredibly fast, hard-hitting, incredible spots, and I thought every person stood out in this match. I really like the way they started it off with obviously everybody beating up Logan Paul. But then it was just, again, everybody got in their spot. Ricochet had a few high-flying spots as expected. Obviously, Shinsuke Nakamura got in with his offense. The incredible bridge that he did, where obviously he does the under-the-rope suplex bridge back German. He did that to Ricochet off a freaking ladder. I thought Santos Escobar had some incredible eye spots, including a Hurricane Rana against the crowd favorite LA Knight. Yeah. With an incredible Hurricane Rana, a great show of athleticism. Butch on the outside, climbing up to the top of the ladder and doing that moonsault on the outside, an incredible spot. But ladies and gentlemen, whenever this man, LA Knight, yeah, makes his way to the ring, whenever he gets inside a ring, whenever he throws a punch, whenever he climbs a ladder, that O2 Arena was on pins and needles, wanting the megastar LA Knight, yeah, to go up there and climb that briefcase and fulfill his destiny. Multiple times he was close, but it was to no cigar. Obviously, as I told you in my preview on Thursday, I thought Ricochet and Logan Paul were going to do a jump spot like they did at the Royal Rumble and potentially top it. They did both. They both jumped, to the top of the ladder where LA Knight and I believe Butch was also there as they were trying to get that Money in the Bank briefcase. And then LA Knight wound up pushing Ricochet and Logan Paul off the ladder after they both kicked him away. And then they did a basically Spanish fly off the ropes through two tables, which earlier in the match, Logan Paul tried to best friend Damian Priest. They did set up two tables, though it did not work out. Those tables were set up for the end of the match between Logan Paul and Ricochet, an incredible Spanish fly where it looked like Logan Paul hit his face on the announce table, only walked away with a little bit of bleeding on his shoulder. Absolutely incredible. And when it looked like LA Knight, was going to go get that briefcase, a broken arrow from Damian Priest off the top of the ladder allowed Damian to climb back up and easily secure that briefcase. This was the epitome of the Money in the Bank ladder match. Both matches, and we'll get to the women's obviously in a little bit, but the men's to me and the women's, but again, a little bit more the men's because there was more experience in the women's match. These were guys, all 7 of them have never been a world champion before, and only Ricochet and Shinsuke Nakamura have been in Money in the Bank ladder matches previously. So all 7 of these guys had something to prove. They put on an incredible throwback, what a Money in the Bank ladder match should be, with incredible spots. You have to go back and witness it for yourself. And at the end of the day, even though we all wanted the megastar LA Knight, to go get that briefcase, as Triple H said in his post Money in the Bank press conference, good things come to people that wait. That shows me that LA Knight, is not dead yet. And the storyline here with Damian Priest winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, Rhea Ripley, the women's world champion, and Dominic Mysterio doing his thing in Judgment Day, while Finn Balor keeps losing. Obviously, Finn Balor joined Judgment Day after taking Edge out last year. Now there is some dissension in Judgment Day. And how does that breakup happen? We'll get to what happened in the World Heavyweight Championship match later in the night. But this Money in the Bank Premium Live event was so spectacular because it created unbelievable moments all over the card. And one of those shocking moments happened in the next match, the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Now, this match started off as you would expect. Obviously, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler taking apart Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And I really like the way Michael Cole and Wade Barrett on commentary made note of last year, Money in the Bank, Liv Morgan cashing in her Money in the Bank contract, as I mentioned on Thursday, on Ronda Rousey. Then you obviously have the history of Clash at the Castle with Liv Morgan when she successfully defended the SmackDown Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler. So there is history there. Ronda and Shayna obviously go back with both Liv and Raquel. Ronda and Raquel had that incredible SmackDown Women's Championship match at the end of 2022, which led to the Charlotte Flair return and knocking off Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship at the time, that of course Rhea Ripley then took and renamed the Women's World Championship. But again, everything was going good in the match. Ronda and Shayna just kept dominating Liv and Raquel. And then all of a sudden, Rousey makes the tag to Baszler. And out of nowhere, Baszler blasts Ronda Rousey, starts knocking her upside the head with punches and punches, and then pretty much passes her out in a sleeper hold, which allows Raquel Rodriguez to hit the Da'ada bomb. It allows Liv Morgan to hit Obliteration. And your new Women's Tag Team Championships, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Well, Ronda Rousey, who will seem to be the face, we'll see if Ronda Rousey ever gets over as a face. It's a very interesting decision against Io Shayna Baszler at SummerSlam is on the horizon. They have to do a lot with this story. It's very rare in WWE that we're going to see 2 women in matches at SummerSlam, it feels like, with Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. and then Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler. 2 women's matches, and neither of them have the championship. That feels unprecedented. Now, Becky and Trish have done a better job over the last couple of weeks with their story. It's going to be very interesting to me to see how Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler get this over with the crowd, because they're both very hated. I thought they didn't have a personality when they were champions, but I get it. They were out there to beat people up. I do not understand, though, why you would take the championships off of Raquel and Liv just to give them to Ronda and Shayna to unify the championships, to then have Ronda and Shayna immediately lose the championships to Raquel and Liv. That I did not get. I think Sasha Banks and Naomi, they were right when they said WWE does not treat the Women's Tag Team Championships equally. They do not. I've said it for years. They need to get rid of the Women's Tag Team Championships. They need to replace it with a Women's Intercontinental Championship. You need to build up a Women's mid-card before you get to the Women's Tag Team Championships. Nonetheless, a major surprise. I actually loved it. I thought it was something different. I don't think the London crowd, who was out for all 3.5 hours of that show, could believe it either. And in the end, there you go. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, your new Women's Tag Team Champions, which I did not expect. And by the way, the betting market, if you are overseas in Europe and things like that, you are allowed to bet on WWE, though unfortunately not in the United States. The betting markets said that obviously Ronda and Shayna were huge favorites. Next match, we had Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship against the original bro, Matt Riddle, who put on a valiant effort, but in the end, that 8th ankle was not to be, as Gunther worked on that ankle the whole match. And Michael Cole, who was absolutely phenomenal on commentary last night, and if you want to know how loud truly that O2 Arena crowd was, Michael Cole was saying to Wade Barrett multiple times last night that he had his volume and his headset all the way up, and he could not hear Wade Barrett. One of the first times in Michael Cole's 27 years at the commentary desk that has happened. So again, shout out to the O2 Arena crowd. But I thought Michael Cole, with one of the lines of the night, was during this match last night, when he said Gunther lives and breathes this sport 24/7. And I've never heard anybody say anything about that from a wrestler before, and it shows why Gunther is such a dominating Intercontinental Champion. Since debuting on the main roster, obviously right after WrestleMania 38 in 2022, Gunther has not lost a one-on-one singles match. So a lot like Roman Reigns, you're going to have to build somebody up to beat Gunther. And one of the unique things about Gunther that is different than probably everybody else on the WWE roster, Gunther can win in a multitude of ways. He can beat you with that powerbomb. He can beat you with the clothesline. He can beat you with the last sympathy. And last night, he can beat Riddle with a heel hook-like submission maneuver, where as soon as he locked in on that ankle, Riddle had to tap. Gunther is one of those wrestlers that can adapt to any situation. If you have a bullseye on your arm, he will target your arm. If you have a bullseye on your leg, he will target your leg. He is very well backgrounded in his wrestling, and I love the fact that he can win without his finisher, without his signature. You never know how a Gunther match is going to win, yet you expect Gunther to win because he is such a dominating force and he is such an athletic freak at his size that he can literally. My webcam just completely turned off there. I apologize for that. It's a little trial and error here on this 4th of July, as I was absolutely banging the table for the Intercontinental Champion Gunther. Just an incredible, incredible match that those two put on last night at Money in the Bank. However, the story with this match would be after the match took place. and that being Drew McIntyre, returning for the first time since WrestleMania. Obviously, he was involved in that triple threat match with Sheamus himself and Gunther at WrestleMania 39, which Michael Cole called one of the greatest matches in the history of WWE. And I even think the almighty Dave Meltzer gave it a 5-star. McIntyre walking to the ring with a huge pop in London. Gunther shoves him. McIntyre a Glasgow kiss, followed by a Claymore. Sets up Drew McIntyre versus Gunther. A one-on-one match that we have never seen. The one-on-one match that Drew McIntyre desperately wanted at WrestleMania that Sheamus got in the way of. Now, Sheamus is on SmackDown. Gunther on Raw. Drew McIntyre on Raw. We get the one-on-one McIntyre Gunther Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. Now, after this, we had one of the most incredible pops and one of the biggest surprises in recent WWE history. And I say that because most surprises are not a surprise anymore because we hear rumors and rumblings on the internet. And with these reporters and social media nowadays, things get out. Ladies and gentlemen, this did not get out. This was a top-tiered secret when all of a sudden all you hear are those trumpets blaring, and out comes the 16-time world champion, John Cena. And Cena basically came out and said he is there to show London his appreciation for them, and he wants a future WrestleMania to come to London, which led to then the icon, Grayson Waller, the host of the Grayson Waller Effect, interrupting John Cena. And Waller said WrestleMania should not come to London, it should come to Australia. And obviously the crowd was red hot for this segment. And then, Grayson Waller has told Cena he should come down to Australia when WrestleMania goes to Australia, come on the Grayson Waller Effect, and basically get a rub from Waller to Cena. And Cena was like, dude, I ain't getting a rub from you. In one of those classic Cena comedy lines, Waller takes a shot at Cena, begins to beat him down. Cena pops up, Cena sends that London crowd into a frenzy, and the crowd even chanted, "Thank you, Cena," after Cena acknowledged they booed me for 15 to 20 years. Listen, we don't get a lot of John Cena anymore in WWE, but when we do, it is always special. John Cena is the definition of a wrestler everybody wanted to hate for 10, 15, 20 years. Everybody wanted to see the face that ran the place get his ass kicked when he was a full-time professional wrestler. But John Cena is one of those guys you miss when he's gone, and you realize how truly great John Cena was and is, and you realize Vince McMahon was right at the time to make John Cena that face of the company. Because one thing about Cena, and I found it very interesting that Michael Cole pointed this out in the Bloodline Civil War main event. The difference between some of these stars now, like obviously the Roman Reigns that got booed, Stone Cold that got cheered, The Rock that got cheered, these phases of the company that we've gone through. Cena has been really the only in-betweener, and yet Cena has never turned heel. He's never shown backlash for the fans. He's always been grateful and let them be vocal, and Cena understands how to tell a story. And as Triple H said last night, once again in his post-WWE press conference at Money in the Bank, storytelling is what WWE does. And when you let the audience get involved, and when you have great actors and great storytellers and great wrestlers, that's when professional wrestling is at its best. So, great crowd pop from John Cena. Kudos to Cena for being there. Kudos to WWE for keeping this completely under wraps. Great segment all the way around. The next match featured the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, where that London crowd sunk kingdom all the way to the ring against the Mummy's boy, Dominic Mysterio. Now, Dominic got his ass kicked mostly in this match. He had a little opportunity where he went for a 619. Cody Rhodes caught him, put him into the Alabama Slam, gave him a disaster kick, gave him a Cody Cutter, crossroads. Cody Rhodes won the match pretty easily, and proving that Dominic Mysterio is truly Mommy's little boy. Now, I had predicted that Brock Lesnar was going to show him Money in the Bank at 5 Cody Rhodes, and give Dominic Mysterio the ultimate heel heat by having Dominic defeat the ultra popular American Nightmare in London. That did not happen. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that if you weren't going to get Brock Lesnar in London, this was the right way to go. Lesnar can appear on Baltimore on Raw Monday night or even the next week and attack Cody Rhodes, who did take that cast off his arm during this match of Money in the Bank. But really, this was Cody Rhodes dominating Dominic Mysterio. Cody Rhodes proving to Dominic that he was right, that he truly is Mommy's little boy, and just giving Dominic the ass kicking he deserved and giving London the appreciation of seeing Dominic get his ass kicked. Because Dominic Mysterio right now is not in the business of winning championships. Hell, he's not even in the business of winning matches. He is in the business of getting heel heat and being an obnoxious you-know-what that needs to get his ass kicked. And Cody Rhodes took care of Mommy's little boy at Money in the Bank. Again, a little bit of a surprise. They did not have Lesnar come in and do the interference. But if you're not going to have Lesnar fly, if Lesnar did not want to go to London to not have a match, I understand it from that perspective. And so with that, if you're not going to do that, Cody Rhodes pretty much squashing Dominic is the right call. The next match was the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, obviously featuring Bayley, Zelina Vega, Zoe Stark, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, and the eventual winner, Io Sky. Now, every woman did have somewhat of their moment in this match. Zelina Vega delivering a code red to, I believe it was Io Sky. It was absolutely an incredible moment, or it might have even been Zoe Stark. Remember, I think it was Zoe Stark. A code red off the top of the ladder gave Zelina Vega kind of her moment in the match. And obviously, Io and Bayley had their dissension in the match. But most of this match was about Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, and Trish Stratus. And Trish Stratus did have some moves off the ladder. She did show her athleticism. I think obviously at her age, even though she can go in the ring one-on-one still, in a ladder match, it's still a little bit tricky. And obviously, you can't do all the incredible high-flying spots. Though she did take later in the match an incredible manhandle slam from Becky Lynch off the announce table, and the ladder did not break. Looked like it hurt a ton. But even before this match started, Becky Lynch was the last one to enter. Zoe Starks came in and attacked her. So I thought the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and I talked about this going in. Zelina Vega, to me, was the wild card in this match. Because Becky, Trish, Zoe Stark had their own thing going. Bayley, Io Sky had their own two things going. And then it was really down to, Zelina Vega, who did not have an issue with any of the women in the match. She was just trying to win the match. So this match, I would have been less than the men's. There wasn't a lot of women, per se, going for the briefcase as much. There was a lot of, Bayley and Io Sky working together early. And then eventually the big moment where Bayley would turn on Io Sky. I thought having Bayley and Becky Lynch go at it a lot was a nice touch. Obviously, then Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus trying to handcuff Becky Lynch, which played a bigger role in the match than I had initially expected. Obviously, the end of the match, when Bayley does turn on Io Sky, Becky Lynch digging the handcuff into Bayley to stop Bayley from calling the Money in the Bank briefcase was, I thought, a nice touch. Then Becky trying to climb the ladder, Bayley stopping her, and Io Sky ends up handcuffing Becky Lynch and Bayley together. Io Sky then climbs over Bayley. basically signaling the end of Damage Control to retrieve that briefcase and become the winner of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And here's the other thing. Traditionally, women that win the Money in the Bank ladder match cash in on somebody that's also been a Money in the Bank ladder match holder. We've seen in the past. Obviously, Edge has cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Edge has been cashed in on. There's many examples. Randy Orton as well has been cashed in on, has won the Money in the Bank briefcase. John Cena obviously has won the Money in the Bank briefcase, has been cashed in on. Seth Rollins has won the Money in the Bank briefcase, has been cashed in on. There are numerous examples of this. And so I'm wondering, Asuka obviously has won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Does Io Sky eventually cash in on the Women's World Champion and become the kingpin of the SmackDown brand? We'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Damage Control when Dakota Kai comes back. Do they eventually get to the triple threat match between Io Sky, Bayley, and Dakota Kai? It does feel like Damage Control is now completely split. Damage Control is going to be done. Maybe Dakota Kai just comes back on her own. They don't involve her with Damage Control until a little bit down the line. Maybe we just get Io and Bayley in a blow-off feud before Io goes on and eventually cashes in on Asuka and becomes the new Women's World Champion. That is my prediction. But again, the women's match was more storytelling within the match with a personal feud than the men. I think Bayley versus Io Sky on the docket. Again, another, like Becky and Trish and, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler. Another women's match that does not add the championship. Does that get added to the SummerSlam card? I don't think so. If you wanted to make it on a premium live event, you can sort of push that thing to Payback, or you can make that the big match, sort of the SmackDown before SummerSlam. I don't think those two, especially when there's only, 8-9 matches on a card, and you've got to get a women's world championship or a women's championship match, which I think Asuka, Bianca Belair, who is now a heel, it looks like, and Charlotte Flair, they're going to have a triple threat match at SummerSlam. So that's already a match on the docket. So again, I don't think Io and Bayley get there. But I think it's incredible how WWE has built the women's division. I don't think the match was as good as the men's. Io Sky did have an incredible dive off the top of the ladder, but I just really like the storytelling, specifically with Becky, Trish, and Zoe when they tried to use the handcuffs, and then at the end, Becky and Bayley going at it, the handcuffs getting involved once again, and the handcuffs helping Io Sky then jump over Bayley. Another small instead of deciding to go over Becky Lynch, she essentially waves bye to Bayley and climbs that briefcase, signaling the end of Damage Control. And now Bayley's once four-woman horse buddy Becky Lynch and her now former Damage Control stablemate Io Sky, they both cost her the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We get to the World Heavyweight Championship match, which was a little bit underwhelming, and I think mostly because Finn Balor was focusing on Seth Rollins' ribs. And for the most part, we've seen Finn and Seth go at it so many different times. Finn Balor was not as aggressive out of the box as I thought he would be. Nonetheless, Finn Balor dominated most of this match, including multiple coup de grace to Seth Rollins. But this match turned around when Damian Priest made his way to ringside. At this point, Rollins was setting up for a stomp on Finn Balor. Damian Priest, obviously earlier, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match came out. Seth Rollins was daring him to cash in. He did not. He sat at ringside while he watched his Judgment Day teammate Finn Balor dismantle Rollins with multiple coup de grace on the outside. Balor kicks him in the corner. It looks like Finn Balor is going to hit the coup de grace. And at this point, I thought Finn Balor was going to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought Damian Priest was going to cash in on Finn Balor. We were going to get another shocking moment, and that being the end of Judgment Day as we know it right here at Money in the Bank. Damian Priest got up, was acting like he was going to go to the ring. Finn Balor got distracted, missed the coup de grace. One stomp later, Seth Rollins is still the world heavyweight champion. And what I really liked about the ending of this match was after the 1-2-3, Rollins ended up getting up and immediately leaving the ring because Rollins knows from his experience against cashing in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 31, if you are in the ring, you can be cashed in on. But if you are outside of the ring, obviously you cannot be cashed in on for that Money in the Bank briefcase. So I thought Rollins did a great job getting to the outside, not allowing Damian Priest at that point in time to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, and it creates an eventual dissension between Damian Priest and Finn Balor. The big question I have now is, does Damian Priest again, does he cash in on Finn or does he cash in on Seth? Because I think Finn Balor is going to lobby Adam Pearce for a rematch. I think we get a stipulation at SummerSlam between Rollins and Finn Balor, sort of one last, as Finn Balor once again tries to target Rollins. He believes he has Rollins beat. He wants one more match. And at SummerSlam, after Finn and Rollins absolutely destroy each other, Damian Priest will cash in on Seth Rollins, getting the job done that Finn Balor could not get done. And that's how we start the dissension in the Judgment Day, with Damian Priest becoming the World Heavyweight Champion over Seth Rollins, with Finn Balor looking over his shoulder as sort of the leadership of the Judgment Day. Between Finn Balor and Damian Priest comes into question, and where does that lie with Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio? Then we get to the main event of the show, the Bloodline Civil War. The crowd chanting, "Fuck you, Roman. Let's go, Usos. If you hate Roman, stand up. If you hate Roman, sit down." They were all over the tribal chief from the time him and Solo Sikoa, and they chanted, "Fuck you, Solo Sikoa," as well. From the time Roman and Solo made their entrance to the ending of the match, this crowd was into it, and the storytelling of this match and the bloodline were again early on. Solo and Roman dominated the Usos, but it only took the Usos keep fighting back from a spear, from a Samoan spike. They would not die. Reigns and Solo at one point even stacked the Usos up, and the Usos kicked out at 2.9. Reigns ended up hitting Jey Uso with another spear. Then Jey Uso with the old callback, the kick out at 2.9 and a low blow to Roman Reigns, giving the head of the table, the tribal chief, who was rattled the whole night by the crowd in London, some of his own medicine. A distraught tribal chief didn't know what to do. Solo Sikoa was almost the leader of the bloodline in this match, trying to get Reigns to refocus. Reigns would have Solo attempt to put Jimmy Uso through the announce table, though it was not meant to be, as Solo missed with his splash, and that led to the opening of the Usos. A double spear to Reigns, a double super kick to Reigns, and an eventual splash from Jey Uso. And as Michael Cole so poetically said on the broadcast, they proved Roman Reigns is human. For the first time since December 15th, 2015, Roman Reigns was pinned 1, 2, 3 in a WWE ring by the one, the only Jey Uso. Now, as I've been saying for the last 3 years on the Brand's World podcast, I always thought the right-hand man, Jey Uso, was going to be the one to pin in the throne the tribal chief, the head of the table, the undisputed universal champion, and become the new tribal chief of the bloodline and form a new faction with Jey Uso, with Solo Sikoa. I think they're going to kill two birds with one stone. I came to this realization last night. WWE gave Jey Uso his moment. They gave him that he was the one to finally pin and dethrone Roman Reigns, to be the first person to pin Roman Reigns in 3.5 years. I think we're going to get Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship at SummerSlam. As I mentioned on my Thursday preview show, I thought we could either get Jey versus Roman, or we get a fatal four-way with Roman, Solo, Jey, Jimmy. That being obviously if Solo were to turn on Roman, we get all four of them for the Undisputed Championship. That did not happen. Solo is still with Roman for now, though we could always turn on Roman between now and SummerSlam. I proposed about a month ago on the Brand's World podcast. I said if WWE could find a way to do it, do they want Roman Reigns to break Bruno Sammartino's record of 8 years as the longest reigning undisputed champion? Now, I do not think that is going to happen. I think Roman Reigns is going to successfully defend against Jey Uso at SummerSlam by hook or by crook. I do not think Jey Uso is going to be the one to dethrone Roman. I still believe no matter what, that Roman Reigns is going to lose the championship at WrestleMania. But I do think now, WrestleMania 40, specifically if they cannot get The Rock back involved, Cody, Roman 2. WrestleMania 40, Cody Rhodes with Roman Reigns now alone. No Solo Sikoa, no Usos, just Paul Heyman by his side, and the near 4-year reign of the tribal chief could potentially go down at WrestleMania 40, or the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes finally gets his redemption. A year-long story arc, like I said the night after WrestleMania 39, John Cena 2012, when he lost to The Rock. A year later, for the WWE Championship, defeats The Rock in New Jersey. Does Cody Rhodes get the crowning achievement? WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field. Something to ponder, but whatever the bloodline does next, you know we will all be watching. So again, I thought Money in the Bank had just incredible moments from the top down. I thought it was one of the best WWE shows I have ever witnessed. From the John Cena return to the Drew McIntyre return to both Money in the Bank ladder matches, Gunther and Riddle, Shayna Baszler turning on Ronda Rousey, Cody Rhodes beating up Dominic Mysterio, and the ultimate surprise, Jey Uso proving Roman Reigns is human, pinning Roman Reigns to the mat. 1, 2, 3. The crowd, the atmosphere made it a 1 billion out of 10 environment. You felt like you were there watching it from your home. And I thought Michael Cole and this guy, by the way, Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett, did a phenomenal job on the premium live event at Money in the Bank. I thought the pacing was great. It did not feel too long. The crowd never quieted down. It was an incredible atmosphere from start to finish. And I cannot wait to see where we go here on the road to SummerSlam. You like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.